What's up, guys? We are back with another Frazetta Icon Collectibles review, and we're taking a look at Vampirella. So this is their second female figure. I believe this is their fourth figure overall at this point. We've had a couple from Fire and Ice, we've had the Norseman, and now we've got Vampirella, of course, that has been around for a super long time. All sorts of comics, various pulp media, something that my mother definitely did not want me associated with as a child, so it's of course very fitting that I have her in action figure form now. And I'm pretty excited about this one because I'm a big fan of this line. It's really doing a lot of things well, and I have a feeling this one's going to continue that. Now, she comes in similar packaging to the other figures in this wave, so it's kind of a deluxe box with the flap. We've got, some Frazetta artwork on the front of the package. We've got some Trevor Williams photography on the spine. We've got a big loadout on the back with a rundown of everything she comes with, and then you can pop that open and you've got another shot from Trevor there inside, and then you've got the figure, of course, in the window with all of her stuff. So yeah, let's do it. Let's pull her out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, our Vampirella from Icon Collectibles from the Frazetta girls. A figure that I'm not surprised we're getting in this line, but I'm kind of surprised we got her so early, and I'm actually pretty excited about this one. This is like one of those things that, like, as a kid, I saw her, wasn't really allowed to read anything related to Vampirella because look at her. So it's kind of one of those things that, like, yeah, this is one of those figures that as a kid I would have definitely never had. So of course I need her as an adult. So let's see what she can do, see how she moves around. She is very similar to the Tigra figure. Obviously, I don't think there's going to be any surprises there. I do believe she shares at least some parts between the two figures, which makes perfect sense. So to start with, we've got our head that is kind of locked down, at least in terms of looking up. She's got a lot of hair, and she's also got a big collar piece. So that's just going to do what it does. It's no surprise. She can look down really nice, though. She does have a little bit of tilt side to side, and she can rotate. Despite the collar and the hair, it clears everything just fine. Arms go out at the shoulders. They swivel. She still has the same kind of shoulders that the other figures have. That I believe I missed this on the Dark Wolf figure the first time around because it's so different. But the shoulders actually swivel within the socket. So it's like a double peg system. One peg in, and then it allows this to swivel there like a shoulder sort of naturally does. We've got single jointed swiveling elbows still, and then you've got hinges, rotation at the wrist. Still the diaphragm cut with really good range here. The one thing that, it's not necessarily a problem on a female figure because it does carve up the sculpt, but a lot of these figures don't have waist articulation. So, this one right here, she's only got the torso, which isn't too out of the ordinary for a female figure. We see that a lot with Legends and stuff like that also. Legs go out about yay far. They kick forward about that far. You can get them to go a little bit further, but then you've got a butt cheek peeking through right there. They kick backward a little bit. You do have some shimmy at the thigh. It's not a full-on twist, but you've got some movement there. And then you've got your single jointed swiveling knees. I'm not the biggest fan of the way these knees look, but it does hide the sculpt. And then down at the ankle, you've got some rocker. She does have boots on, so that does get in the way a little bit. And then you've got hinges as well, and then you can swivel that a little bit up there. So she does move fairly well. I don't know that this is one that truly needs to be the most dynamic thing ever. And again, they do prioritize sculpt over articulation, which for this property and this aesthetic and the Frazetta-centric nature, I'm not upset about that. I think she moves well enough and looks really great without much fuss. And again, the visuals are kind of the focus here. Not even kind of, like they truly are. And this figure in particular even extends beyond that because she comes with a big set piece in terms of accessories. Vampirella is very well loaded in terms of visual detail beyond just the figure. There's a lot going on with this one outside of just a very scantily clad vampire woman, and I think she looks great. Like from top to bottom, I think she looks absolutely terrific and is a very, very good interpretation of a Frazetta Vampirella done in plastic. She is, I don't want to say this in a negative way because it's not meant to be. She's a fairly plain kind of figure though when you think about it at face value. She is mostly naked. She has a very open, almost like bikini kind of jumpsuit on, and then she's got some boots. There isn't a lot going on with her in terms of design elements, but it's the overall package and the amount of paint, the detail, and the accuracy to his style here in particular that I think is really the selling point. There's other Vampirella stuff out there. There's probably going to be more Vampirella figures coming based on the fact that there are already multiple on the market. But this one looks a certain way for a very specific reason, and she very much fits with the other figures in this line so far, despite them being from disparate things. You know, she's not related to Fire and Ice, but she can go with Tigra and that kind of stuff. So I really like the idea of being able to have all of these figures that are visually similar from sort of different eras and different properties and things like that, just brought together because Frazetta worked on them. And she looks terrific. Everything is really well painted. The skin tones are really consistent, very nicely done. You know, the jumpsuit that she has, I think looks great. I mean, it absolutely accentuates the, you know, we'll say it, the sex appeal of this character. Like, there's no way to get around that. That's one of the major selling points for this character, was that aspect of her. So I think that does a really good job here of kind of bringing that point home. She's got removable hair just like Tigra did, so we can talk about that further when we get to accessories. But you've got different hairstyles. The face in particular is incredibly well done. It's very beautiful. It's very striking. And again, it very much looks very close to a Frazetta work. So this is very much a Frazetta Vampirella brought to, well, we'll say life in plastic. And just to kind of give you an idea here, let's pull Tigra in from the Fire and Ice sort of subline. So here they are next to each other. They're very similar figures. I do believe that they share parts. I think the arms are probably the same. The legs appear to be the same as well. Maybe they aren't, but the kneecaps definitely seem similar to me. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of those kind of joints, but they do cover things quite well. And these two, they look like they belong together despite not necessarily being related, really. They definitely have the same finish, the same design aesthetics, all of that stuff. So I'm really happy with the fact that she does sort of, you know, blend in really well here. But everything about this figure, I think, just looks good. She looks good. Proportionally, she looks good. You know, she's got big old thick thighs with a huge set of butt cheeks back there, but that is definitely part of the style as well. She's also very well endowed in other areas, which I think is, again, another major character point for Vampirella. But a lot of it for me is the striking difference between the skin tones, you know, the musculature, the slight musculature that she has. Oh, well, she's not like rippling and striated out with veins all over, but she definitely looks built, and I like that aspect of it. The red jumpsuit looks really good, and then the face is incredibly well painted, very clean, very crisp, and again, it just, the whole thing evokes a very Frazetta inspired piece of plastic, action figure, however you want to describe it. This very much looks like his Vampirella brought to life. Now, as far as accessories goes, Vampirella is kind of an interesting case because she doesn't really have a whole lot of stuff that actually goes with her. All of her accessories, overwhelmingly anyway, go towards like modifying her appearance, or, as is kind of obvious, go towards this very big set piece type of thing, because she comes with this really massive diorama base stand, whatever you want to call it. So to start with, let's talk about the stuff before we have the dio or the base in play. So we've got a couple extra heads, and like I said, she does have removable hair. So she's got a shorter hair piece, and this works on all of the heads. So you just pop that off and it pegs right on. So you've got one here where she is kind of screaming or howling in many ways, whatever you want to describe it as. And then we've also got this one here where she's got blood running down her face, and she's got a kind of a smirk going. This is my favorite face across all of the heads so far. I really like this one. And the blood just kind of plays up the vampire aspect. And this is, of course, using the longer hair that was on her to begin with. But like I said, it's usable across all the heads. You can mix and match whatever you need to do. So you've got options there. She does come with some extra hands, so she's got kind of resting, open palm hands on her in the box. She's got a set of gripping hands. She's got a set of kind of style posy hands, blade finger hands, and then you've got a couple of other hands that are more gesturing. You've got this one with like a 2-finger pose. We've got this one with like 1 finger kind of outstretched, which is kind of an iconic pose for her. It's a very Frazetta pose where she's kind of got her hand outstretched in front of her. So that's a pretty good, useful one there. And then she's got a few other things as well. She's got this little bangle that you can put on her arm that goes along with some of the other stuff. Like all of this stuff on her arm is removable, the bracer, and then that bangle up on her upper arm here that was already on her. This is an extra one that you can use. You swap them out or, you know, have them all on her at any given time like I've got here. She comes with a couple skulls to give her something to hold or, you know, to show a victim. So you've got this one, this like big monster vampire thing. And this is specifically, I believe, from a Frazetta painting. I'd have to go back and look, but I'm almost positive it might actually be on the box, and that's where I'm thinking about it from. And then we've got another more standard humanoid skull. So you've got a couple different options. I really like this one. I can see myself using this with, you know, other lines too. And then we've got these little guys. You've got a couple different bats, because that plays up the vampire aspect. These are all different too. So you've got these two, you've got this one, and these can be put on her fingers. The actual feet do clip onto her fingers on some of the outstretched and more style posy hands, but they also fit on top of this gnarled tree that is on the dio here. So you can actually use them. They're not just for, just to have. They're actually useful. But we do have this big thing here, and I really like this. This kind of goes back to, and I don't talk about McFarlane stuff very fondly all that often, but this kind of makes me think about old McFarlane stuff in terms of getting some sort of big, gnarly base. So you've got this monster, like mound of dirt and mud inside of a graveyard, and what's cool is they actually tailored it to Frazetta. So you've got Eleanor and Frank. They're kind of headstones here. You've got one that just sort of has the company's logo and branding on it. You've got a couple more generic ones. You do have to put this together. Obviously, it doesn't come in the box like this, but it's really cool. You've got the gnarled tree back here as well, and you can put the bats on there. It does have a few different pegs for Vampirella herself to stand, so you can have a more close leg pose, or you can have a more widespread pose here, and it holds her really well. And I think it, of course, sells the idea of, the occult and the more pulpy aspect of Vampirella, and very much goes in line with some of the stuff, that we've seen over the years in terms of artwork, Frank Frazetta or otherwise. So it very much works here. And of course, you could use it with anything else too. It's not specific to her, but it is very much Frazetta themed with some of the stuff that's actually on those headstones. But I really like this. It's kind of a cool way to add some value to this particular figure, because without it, she really doesn't have a whole lot, and that's very much true to her character. But this does really beef up what you get in the box, considering she's very much in the same arena for pricing as a lot of the other stuff that we've seen so far in this line. So yeah, overall, I'm really happy with this figure. And again, I'm a big fan of this line. A lot of the idea and the direction for this line, I think, is really cool and just kind of different in many ways. Frazetta was there at the beginning for Vampirella. He did that first iconic cover. He's got tons of other artwork beyond that. This is the iconic blueprint of Vampirella and what she would become. There's plenty of other interpretations down the road, but it works so well in figure form here, and she meshes so nicely with the other stuff in this line. It's cool to be able to get his specific style in figure form alongside other things that represent his style. She also, of course, comes with a lot of cool accessories. So from an action figure perspective, she does have a lot of cool stuff. We've got a big dio piece, which is so uncommon these days. All the headstones, the tree, the bats, all the other pieces for her. And again, she just looks terrific. From top to bottom, I think this is an incredibly beautiful, well done, nice looking figure. And if you're into this kind of stuff, this is definitely not one to pass up. So that's going to do it for this look at the Frazetta Icon Collectibles Vampirella. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And until next time.